they abandoned their belief in the supernatural. Now, you are asking me to sabotage that achievement, to send them back into the dark ages of superstition and ignorance and fear? No!
Okay, and welcome everyone to another fun-packed edition of Trolling with Logic, and with me this week, Kitch, how are you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm drinking Monster, a new flavour of Monster Assault, which is hopefully going to keep me up.
And welcoming back, Marty, how's it going?
Yeah, I'm doing okay.
Yeah.
Exhausted, but...
Are you on Monster or alcohol yet?
No.
So
Actually, I'm not. I just have way too much work to do now at the end of the semester.
I think we'll just get cracking on with the news.
Sure, this is actually just from Nature called Microbiology, a Backup for Bacteria. And it's about a study done to take mice, they remove the gut, they remove the bacteria from their intestines, then they see what effect the murine norovirus has on the gut. And what they found was, returned the morphology of the gut back, and basically it brought back the good function of the gut, because the germs usually we all know that we have bacteria in our gut, and those bacteria are important for function of the gut. One such function is to stimulate the immune cells in villi. These are kind of like protrusions out into the gut, which for maximum absorption of the nutrients in your food. In those villi are immune cells. These bacteria stimulate the immune system in that location, which causes the gut to become a bit thicker, causes the cells to differentiate into active immune cells.
So, the simple thing is they got these mice and they flushed out the bacteria from their gut, is what you were saying.
Yep. And they also had another control where they basically got gut mice that had the germs from present, and then they fed them antibiotics, and then included this virus at the same time. 4 days after, and then after 14 days they took samples of the gut. Yeah. And they found that it more or less returned the function back. The immune function back and the morphology back. That's actually very interesting, as because whenever we talk about the gut, the bacteria in the gut, we're always talking about bacteria. You know, whenever we talk about the microbiology of the gut, we're always talking about bacteria, though the bacteria are important. This bacteria does this bacteria does that. But we never really, viruses have been overlooked. And this research, although it's only applied to a mouse model, is an interesting study. Now, whether that actually translates to human, that's something else. But there are viruses found in the intestine of people, animals, and they can come just through the remnants of an old infection, or they could be bacteria to get sick. Yeah. Of course, when they get sick, with viruses, they pretty much lies and die. That's them sorted. Unlike us, we can recover because we're made of millions of cells. Yeah,
there's just one angle I want to come in on this, and that is the one thing you always hear about from the animal rights activists, and that is basically, it wasn't necessary to do this on animals. We could never, could easily be. I mean, is that true in this case? Is there any way you could do this kind of experiment without animals?
We can use those people who say things like that as volunteers.
I really won't be in the best position to say if it would be very difficult, because you're looking at a multicellular, you're looking at kind of a systematic level of examination. So you're looking at, an entire organ, and that can be, with it in itself, you're dealing with a natural kind of biofilm there. That is made up of I'm not too sure if millions, but it's definitely a very, I hate using this word, but I have to use it anyway, complex population that can, I don't know why I said this, I don't know why I'm including this statement here, but I'm just going to include it because I just love bacteria. It's very stable. So if you have an antibiotic treatment that kind of damages your microbiome, you come back after a couple of days after you finish your antibiotic treatment, that population will be back to where it was before your antibiotic treatment.
All right, yeah.
But you're dealing. It's certainly a hard experiment to do if you were to do it in cell culture. And computational models, I hear some people talk about that, maybe outside of biology, maybe you could do it on a computer or try to use that. It's biology. It's very, very, very hard to do. It's very hard to kind of create an algorithm for.
Yeah. And so I don't know, Marty, do you want to say anything there before I ask?
Well, yeah, to comment on that, the idea of simulating biological systems, there are so many components in those systems, and we don't have sufficient knowledge of all the components either, so it's damn near impossible to simulate something like that.
Yeah.
At least at this point. It'll probably be possible in the future, but not tomorrow, if I put it that way.
Yeah, hopefully in the future be definitely...
Maybe in the supercomputers in 50 years might be able to do it or something like that. Assuming that we have enough knowledge.
Yeah.
Yep, that's one future I definitely hope might come about. No one likes experimenting on animals.
But what? Don't scientists like to experiment on animals?
Isn't that why you
to just torture animals for fun?
Isn't that why you wanted to be a scientist, Kitch?
Oh crap! My secret is out.
Okay, I think we can, unless there's anything else on that, Marty, we can move into your segment.
Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Aaron Raw posted this on Facebook. It's a post from Religion News. Apparently, atheists are now the new persecuted minority, according to an international report.
Right.
Let's see where this was. Some countries find the idea of atheism as a popular movement to be a threat to the prevailing order. Yeah. And this, according to this story, or according to this post, rather, I should say, there's been this report that it says it's by the International Humanist and Ethical Union. I don't know what that is. I haven't looked it up. But anyway, there's a tendency to stop looking at atheists and humanists and seculars as just apostates. Instead, they are terrorists. They are a threat.
Yeah.
And I think awesome progress. I mean, if we're being viewed as a threat, that means we're doing something right because it's clearly working.
Yeah. Because for years we were just kind of ignored mostly.
Yeah. They just we're doing so well that we can't be ignored anymore. So even in these countries where being an atheist is illegal, now it's not just oh well, that guy's nuts, kill him. Now it's actually we're a threat.
Yeah. Because it's quite
so nice going, atheists in the world. Awesome.
But
keep it up.
This kind of relate to Kitch. I think you've probably seen this from Atheist Ireland, in which Ireland is actually rated as one of the lowest countries for tolerance towards atheists.
Yeah, no, I think I've seen that. I can't remember.
I think it was from McNugent's blog. He posted this research that, well, in terms of Europe, anyway, Ireland is rated as one of the worst for, the rights of atheists and the status of atheists.
Yeah, I can certainly see where in Europe.
Yeah.
How that can be.
Whereas, by European standards, it's very mild compared to anywhere else.
Oh yeah, definitely. But we still got some issues we need to work on. I live in Dublin, so it's fairly, as most capital cities are, it's fairly liberal. So, but if you read,
Sarah's blog,
you could see that, there is some issues.
Yeah, like excuse me, for example, you remember that recent story in, I can't remember where in Ireland it was where the crucifix was vandalised.
Yeah, I remember. So that's so much coming to memory.
Yeah, and the storm that came, and they asked Atheist Ireland, what do you think? And they said, well, it's terrible, and said, what should be done? I said, well, maybe they should think about putting up a memorial that's kind of inclusive of everyone in Ireland, that, we're a country of many faiths. And then 2 days later in the papers, it's atheists demanding no crucifix at the Hill, and they wanted banned, they don't want it. And it's like, and kind of they were saying, we didn't say anything remotely close to, but that was the Catholic reports. And, when it shows when you have to twist stories into that, like very reasonable requests are seen as just, atheist kind of dogma and all this kind of rubbish.
Yeah, it's mental.
They can't argue against anything we do honestly.
Yeah.
They just want to argue because, holy shit, we can't lose this. I mean,
it's easier to pick apart a straw man than it is to debate honestly. But it's such a mild, like, Michael, I don't think I've ever seen Michael and anything that strongly.
Yeah.
Like, so this whole thing of Atheist Ireland demands such and such is just not. They request a representative, representative statue, or something that is not just symbolic of one particular religion that is actually losing favor in Ireland, but is something that is representative of everybody who lives here.
Yeah.
Atheists, Hindus. We're a country of for a country of 4 million or so. We have a huge diversity.
Yeah.
And that should be something of a strength rather than a weakness.
Mm-hmm. Anything else on that, Marty?
No, that was it.
All right, I'll go to this story. It came up. This is a really bizarre blog from our good friends, the Discovery Institute. And I can just hear the sighs from you two already hearing this. And it's basically...
Well, it might be funny.
This guy, he's Michael Egnor, he's a neurosurgeon, so he claims. And he's actually claiming that the idea that the brain stores memories is false.
Well, okay.
That's fantastic.
Has he heard of this thing called amnesia?
Well, but here we go. Here's some of it. The quote from this. I'm trying to find this exact quote. The brain is a physical thing. A memory is a psychological thing. A psychological thing obviously can't be stored in the same way a physical thing can.
What? Software? Word files?
That was just stupid.
Yes, and I'll carry on, Brian. To assert that memories are stored in the brain is gibberish. And don't fall for the materialist invocation of promissory materialism. It's just it's just a limitation of our current scientific knowledge, and we promise that science will soon be able to solve the problem in due time. The assertion that the brain stores memories is logical nonsense that that doesn't even rise to the level of empirical testability.
Well, take heart, kids. You don't need to be smart to be a doctor.
I mean, there's so many ways. You've got stroke, Alzheimer's, dementia, these things. In his view, these things shouldn't affect your memories in any way whatsoever.
No.
Those are degenerative brain diseases.
Or physical trauma.
Yeah. Or going in and out of coma, sudden oxygen deprivation in the brain.
Or certain illicit substances.
Yeah. This is the weirdest claim I've ever heard from the Discovery Institute. Most of their claims are just kind of amusing a lot of the time, but this is just bizarre. I'll just carry on the show.
If I can comment on this, I just think it's interesting that this comes from the Discovery Institute, because these are the intelligent design folks they don't want to say that, memory is made of magic or something. They want to keep the magic out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I would understand if creationists would say that. I mean, yes, ID is creationism, but I mean, explicit creationists, people who call themselves creationists.
Okay.
I can understand why they would say this, because they're all a bunch of substance dualists, I assume.
Yeah, well, that's actually my next point was to say I really wish we had Lundy here, because he would be able to tackle this. This is just one sentence. What this implies is there is only some kind of dualism. What this implies is that only some kind of dualism can provide a coherent understanding of the mind.
You know who I would love to have here to have this is, ironically, Johanan.
Yeah. Do you think he would disagree with us?
Yes, absolutely. He and I agree on a couple of things, and that is we both completely reject the notion of dualism.
Right.
Because it's completely pointless. It is stupid. It's completely unnecessary.
Yeah. For the listeners, what exactly is dualism?
It's basically when you take the position that there's the material and the mental, or spiritual, if you want to call it that, and these are two separate things. One cannot reduce to the other.
Yeah, basically consciousness and the brain are separate things, kind of thing.
Yeah, essentially, or if you want to call it the soul.
Yeah.
And I am of the position that consciousness can reduce to the material, and Johanan has the opposite view.
Yeah.
But we both completely reject dualism, because we both find it. I think he thinks it's logically incoherent. I don't know if I agree with that, but I definitely think it's pointless. It's a violation of Occam's razor, if nothing else.
Okay, he does kind of try and tackle the obvious question. So, quote here, how then, you reasonably ask, can we explain the obvious dependence of memory on brain structure and function? While it is obvious that memories aren't stored, it does seem that some parts of the brain are necessarily ordinarily for memory. Oh, so he's actually saying...
it sounds like he's contradicting himself.
Yeah. But necessary does not mean... he's going into the necessary doesn't mean sufficient. That's his next claim. There is a rough correspondence between activity in certain regions of the brain and the exercise of certain mental powers. Well, I think that's been demonstrated beyond all reasonable doubt.
Yeah. And again, Johanan would agree, but he would say it's a correlation and that you can't conclude causation from correlation, which I agree with, but you can hypothesize.
Okay. And probably this will be the final quote from the story. The brain must have a specific activity for memory to be exercised, but the brain activity is not the same thing as the memory, nor does it make any sense at all to say that the brain activity codes for the memory or that the brain stores memory. That's just gibberish to me, that.
Yeah, that was gibberish.
Mm-hmm.
He's basically saying the brain can access memory, but it doesn't store it or something. I think is that the point he's trying to make?
I think so. He might be going for something like the Rupert Sheldrake horseshit, which is Deepakis, basically. The idea of, the brain is like a receiver. The actual information is stored elsewhere in some sort of magical...
matrix?
Thought realm or something. And we basically use the brain to access that or something. But then again, how would the brain do that if... wouldn't that ability be something supernatural, and you can't say that the brain can do that, can you? It doesn't solve the problem.
All right. Okay, I think we've had enough of that story too.
Yes.
I think we wish we could forget that one. So, do you guys have any other stories to follow up on that?
Actually, I don't.
Well, it's all right. I do have, I always bring a heap of stories, and this one it was reported on our Facebook by Wolfie, and it's basically about nearly half of all Americans believe in medical conspiracy theories. Again, quite so. Basically, here we go. Some of the most prevalent conspiracy theories are that the CIA has deliberately infected African Americans with HIV.
Well, it's not so much the CIA, it's more the Catholic Church, but whatever.
Genetically modified foods are a conspiracy to reduce population worldwide.
And it's doing
Because
such a
would-
great
because
job.
That would be great for business, and also it actually saves lives. So it's kind of.
But yeah, I mean, also as a population reduction method, it's horrifically inefficient, I would say.
Have you ever heard of guns?
Well, there's guns, or if they really wanted to control the there's just make birth control very, very, very accessible to everyone.
Yeah,
That'd be a far more practical way. I mean, if they were, then they wouldn't be backing like abstinence only sex ed.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just more and more of this. I'm trying to find some of the figure. The pro-conspiracy theories were, 41% of pro-conspiracy people were conservative and 35% were liberal, which I'm quite surprised at that. But it's like, Kitch, we've spoken about this, there is liberal science denialism, and they just take hold on different issues, don't they, Kitch?
Pretty much.
They're more the, isn't it like conservatives are basically the creationism and climate change denial, and then you have, on the other side, you have anti-GMOs and
anti-vax and all that.
Anti-vaxxers, yeah.
Yeah, the liberal side tends to be more kind of pro-natural kind of stuff, I think.
Yeah.
That's the way they go for the naturalistic fallacy quite a lot.
Yeah.
All right, and any other news, guys, at all?
Well, when you mentioned the blog, stuff that was posted on Facebook from Trolling with Logic anyway, I just loved the whole faith healer vagina devils thing.
Yes, I do have that story open. I'll go through some of the highlights of it. Omar Sharif, I think that's his name, now 67, told a woman in 1994 that she had the devil in her body and it had to be removed in a very strange way in a furniture factory. Basically, he told me the guy claimed to have the power and warned the woman she would die unless he removed the devils from her vagina. Basically, he said he digitally penetrated her. I leave that up to the listener's imagination. I have no idea what that could mean. I think, I don't want to make fun of it too much because obviously there's a woman that was sexually abused in this case, but yeah, I mean, it's kind of funny in a way, but it's also quite disturbing, this.
Yeah.
Is that the guy's excuse? Digitally.
Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm trying to find what his defense was. Yeah, he doesn't really have a defense as such. I think it's only. Yeah, it doesn't mention what his defense was, but I think what his defense might have been, well, she consented to have this done. But if that consent is on very flimsy grounds with us.
Yeah,
I think
definitely. It's just typical faith healer type things that there's always something dirty involved.
Yeah. All right, Kitch, do you have anything else to say on that?
That was disturbing.
Yeah. I don't want to make fun of that story too much because obviously there's a victim, a very real victim.
Well, you can make fun of the idiot who did it.
I mean, again, this is back to a thing, Marty, you probably come up against a lot in your videos, and that is the what's the harm brigade. Like what's
the harm with sexual abuse?
No, but like in general, like what's the harm like with faith healers, or what's the harm with astrology? Like we showed in our last episode, there's astrologers that believe,
a lot.
You know, or like one you get is what's the harm with spirit science? Leave it alone and all that. But
exactly. What's the harm with teaching people to ignore their children's problems and just meditate instead because it'll make you feel better?
Yeah, and
what's the harm with not solving problems?
Yeah,
it's the
morons.
People are going to act out on bad information.
Yes,
it's not the information itself; it's people acting out on it.
Yeah, and also the main harm is being wrong about something. Believing obviously false things.
Yes.
And speaking on that, I know you read it, so we'll just get your quick reaction to the Jaden and Willow Smith interview, Marty.
Morons. Absolute morons.
I'm trying to find some quotes from it, but as you saw, like Jordan was a big fan of that interview.
Yeah. And I've as I understand it, Jaden actually follows Jordan.
Yep. And the other thing was I read about that interview was what was published was a highly condensed version of what was actually said, because they said they just rambled so much, and the interview as it stands is pretty incoherent at best.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to find some but the main quote I remember was them claiming that time doesn't exist.
That's just wrong.
And they also bring up something called prana energy, which was a new one on me.
Yeah, that's this crazy notion they have of healing people using chants and stuff like that. I don't know exactly what it is, but it involves that anyway.
Yeah, and one other thing was maybe you've explained that they kept calling them indigo children on Spirit Science.
Yeah.
What does that mean? Is that anything meaning?
It means absolutely nothing.
All right. I just had no idea what an indigo child is or an indigo person.
It's just basically anyone who's born nowadays that is special.
All right. Okay.
If there's something about the person that makes them, human, because everyone's unique in some way, then there's something magical about them. They're indigo children, they're the great individuals of the future, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And basically, the way you identify an indigo child is if there's something different about them. They don't fit in perfectly with school, for example, because no one fits in perfectly in a system that is designed for a typical person.
Yeah.
Because there are no typical people. Everyone is different from it in some way. So, of course, this is the whole thing is to make parents think, hey, my child is special. And by special, I don't mean short bus.
Okay, I think that's the end of the news, is it? Unless you've got no other words, guys.
I can't think of anything.
All right. It's just all that news. It's just stupefied you now. So.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Something like that.
All right. Enjoy the rest of the show. We'll be back soon. We do have a feature planned in which I think we're going to talk about our most influential Skeptic books. Like I say, the interviews are on hold right now. We'll bring back the interviews in the new year. And I think we're going to do a few specials to wrap up the year. I think we're also, for the New Year's show, we plan to look back on 5 of our most notable events from this year and our 5 predictions for 2015, which I think that'll be quite interesting a year. It'll be the whole team will submit it, so you get to hear all our thoughts from different angles.
And unfortunately, one of my predictions won't be, yay, Kent is coming out.
I don't think that's going to happen, sadly.
No, it's not going to happen.
All right, enjoy the rest of the show. What will be coming up next is a short promo for a show we like very much, the Gin and Tonic Show, and we'll be back very soon.
Gin and Tonic Show is a weekly online call-in panel discussion show that focuses on the religion of Islam and related topics. In juxtaposition to the propaganda of Muslim apologists, the far right, conservative Christians and other parties of disinformants, the Gin and Tonic Show aims to bring a balanced perspective to issues pertaining to Islam, presenting accurate information in order to educate its viewers on Islamic history, scripture, theology and politics. The show is hosted weekly at 9 AM Sunday UTC on Google Hangouts and streams live at the allotted weekly time on the Gin and Tonic Show official YouTube channel at the following address: youtube.com/user/the Gin and Tonic Show/live.
And welcome back, everyone, to the next section of Trolling with Logic. And joining me again, my words are just going to pot already. Joining me again, Kitch. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How's everybody?
Doing great. And Marty, how are you doing?
I'm fine.
All right. And just to get into this, we're doing a special segment this week. We are looking at the books or the TV shows or whatever it was that got us really, sparked our interest in skepticism. So hopefully we've got a wide range of things the three of us can cover that maybe you guys listening can go and look up, and hopefully you'll get, you're already interested, but hopefully you can see where our interest began in this. So I'll go to you first, Marty. What really got spark your interest in skepticism?
Yeah, actually that's hard to answer because there wasn't anything that sparked my interest in it. I've always been interested in what's actually true.
Yeah.
I've always had an interest in having beliefs that, to the best of my knowledge, match reality.
Yeah.
It's just I can't think of a single book I read or something I watched on TV or whatever that made me interested. It just came naturally to me. But there have been plenty of things that have helped me along, if I put it like that. Things I've watched that have inspired me in some way, or things I've read. And if we're going to talk about books, A Brief History of Time by Stephen Hawking.
I've never read it. Now, the obvious thing that puts some people off physics books is, the
physics.
language. Is it easy for a layperson to pick up?
No.
No. Okay.
Unfortunately not. Hawking did write another book called A Universe in a Nutshell, which is much easier to get through. I don't think it's as good. Yeah. But it's something I would recommend as a starting point, I guess. Yeah. But yeah, that's not really skepticism in general. It's just high-end physics explained. Yeah. And then there's if we take something from outside physics, the God Delusion. Yeah. By Richard Dawkins. Really, I really liked reading that. Much of that is because I didn't agree with everything.
Yeah. It's one we've discussed, and it's a book we always bring up with a lot of our guests, that. Yeah. And I find there's a very usual reaction is a lot of people, the ones that read it after it was released, read it expecting they were going to hate it and it was going to be awful. And they were very surprised they ended up agreeing with a great many points. They disagreed with a lot, but they also said they couldn't dispute the quality of the writing in it. And I don't think anyone can do that. But I think it at least gets people interested in the discussion that raises.
That it does, and that's one of the reasons why I love not agreeing with everything in it. If I had agreed with everything, it would have been, pun intended, preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
But in this case, it wasn't, because there are points he brings up about. A lot of it is throwing shit at Islam for no reason other than, well, it's a religion, so it's evil.
Yeah.
And I just think he's overdoing it.
Yeah, he's over-egging the pudding there.
Yeah, and that turns me off quite a bit. But there's so much of it that's good, and it's really great as a skeptic to read something where you can actually agree with some things and disagree with other things.
Yeah.
Because you don't, just because, I guess to a lot of people it's, okay, here's one point I disagree with, therefore everything in this book is shit.
Yeah.
Or here's something I agree with, therefore I have to agree with all of it. No, you don't. You can pick and choose the parts you agree with.
Yeah.
It's called thinking for yourself.
Yeah. Yeah, because one example with this, I remember when I went to visit you in the summer, we watched some of Penn and Teller bullshit.
Yeah.
And that's when I was saying, I remember I was sitting there with you and I said, they do get a lot of things wrong, and you actually said to me then, that's why I like this show. There's a lot of things I disagree with what they do here.
Yeah.
And that's another, I don't know if you agree with, like in terms of TV shows, that's one of the best starting places for skepticism.
Yeah.
Because some of the episodes...
If you can put up with the attitude.
Yeah. And
because let's face it, they're assholes.
Yeah. And also if you can put up with some episodes that are so wrong they're borderline offensive at times.
Yes.
Because they do, and that's what makes it, because you don't know what you're going to get. Like some episodes I felt like, I think it was the one we were watching was with New Age and people talking to the dead and that.
Yeah.
Very well done, hard to disagree with anything.
Exactly.
But then they go and do their climate change one, and it's so flawed, it's unreal.
It's also, okay, in fairness, that's outdated.
Yeah.
But they still, no, you're right. It's they got a lot of things wrong in that one.
Yeah.
And then there's the passive smoking thing as well, where they say that passive smoking doesn't cause any harm, and I think they actually had to retract that.
Yeah.
Afterwards, but yeah.
But again, as like if you are a skeptic looking to get into it, like it's the number one thing. If you are a skeptic, don't just agree with other skeptics and fall into that trap.
Right.
Because I see too many people doing that, and I think we're all guilty of maybe doing it a few times ourselves.
Well, yeah.
Well,
sure.
we're all fallible. I mean, I admit it.
Yeah.
I commit the logical fallacy because that's what we are.
Yeah. The difference is that when a skeptic realizes that he's doing that, then he will change his mind.
Probably the other media I would like to is YouTube, because, well, that's where our main background is. So, I mean, skepticism on YouTube, Marty, was there anyone who influenced you to make videos?
Influence to make videos? I don't know. Watching clips from the Atheist Experience did a lot.
Yeah.
And then there was Thunderfoot before the crap. When Thunderfoot was known as the guy who kicked the crap out of Venom Fang X.
Yeah.
Then he was a source of inspiration. Aaron Ra, Foundational Falsehoods, Creationism, that did a lot. Ultimately, what made me start making videos was Coughlin for having the Ponage Olympics.
Yeah.
Because that was like, oh, okay, it's now or never. So I made a video and that was it.
Yeah, Coughlin, I think everything and anything has been said about that man. So
yeah.
I think, even as we found out, the mere mention of him can send a chat room into a frenzy. And As I've noticed when we've had him on the charity show, it's the only video I know that when I upload within 10 minutes, there's heaps of downlikes on it straight away. So, yeah, he's definitely the Marmite man of YouTube.
His sense of humor is based on offending people.
And also, yeah, well, we won't get into the drama, and because people always take a side in that, and well, but yeah, I think we can move on to you now, Kitch. You've actually got your books on screen, even though no one can see the screen.
Yeah, and I just kind of realised, wait, why am I getting the books? Oh wait, it's just more that I can actually remember the titles.
Yeah, because it's different for you, because you're actually the one career scientist. I think, is there anyone else in the group? I can't remember if there's anyone else in the group that's actually... Casey, I think he's studying, but you're the one guy who's actually a working scientist, so it's quite easy to... it'll be quite good to get what's kicked you off in all of this.
Well, I'm kind of in the same boat as Marty. There's not really any books that kind of made me go from being a non-skeptic into a skeptic. It was just more of just the way I was just... it's the way I was raised.
Yeah.
I was kind of taught to use critical thinking. Anytime I came up with an opinion, the first question I was asked was always, well, why did you come to that opinion?
Yeah.
And there's always why this, why that, why not this? But there's definitely some books that definitely I enjoyed reading as being part of the skeptic community. One of the books I have to mention is Christopher Hitchens' Letters to a Young Contrarian. It's been a while since I read this, actually about a year or so.
Yeah.
But he's brought up kind of the contrarians of the past and kind of encourages people to not be to be that contrarian. That's an awful description. Of course, I have to mention The God Delusion. I haven't read all of it, but I've read segments of it, and it is a well-written book. I can't remember too many of the points I disagree with, but there were some interesting points and some points I didn't even know about religions worldwide.
Yeah.
That was actually kind of my first foray into the atheistic side of writing. Although I didn't read any religious books because at that time I was also 17 and I wasn't really interested
All right.
in religious writing.
Oh, come on. I started reading the Bible when I was 8.
Well, I've had it kind of, in school and all that. I was like, no, I have no interest. Actually, funny enough, that kind of indoctrination turned me against religion. I didn't have it as bad as down the country, but that constant going to church, in school, all that kind of way, talking about God. That was more of, I'm sick of this. And actually, a book that I'm actually reading segments of is also another Richard Dawkins book, The Greatest Show on Earth. It's about pretty much, if you ever wanted to teach, in fairness, they have to open the book and read it, but if you ever wanted to give creationist evidence for evolution, just give them this book.
Yeah.
Or her. Stupidity is not known to one gender.
But yeah, the Greatest Show on Earth is a good one. Just for the science of evolution, he does explain it very, very well.
I haven't read it.
It's really good. Some of the stuff that he brings up in it is really, really interesting, and he goes through them. This is one of the books I am actually dead set on. Just one day, just going from end to end.
Yeah.
Of any books. The same thing with Origin of Species, actually. I'm currently trying to get through that now at the moment.
I've attempted to read Origin of Species, and I'm sorry, but ye olde English just makes it so difficult to get through.
Yeah, I agree. But it's just a book that I just have to read.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably good to read it once, but you don't... But, I'm fair in admitting I just didn't enjoy reading it, and that's not to say anything of the quality. I mean, he put down something revolutionary in that book, but I'll put my hand up straight away and saying it is not an easy book to read, Origin of Species.
Yeah. I'd actually like to go through Principia Mathematica Naturalis.
What's that?
Newton's work.
All right. Because I've actually read Copernicus's book.
Oh.
And that's good. That's a really good read for the time, and It's, well, I think did he write it in Latin originally, I think?
Yeah.
Something like that. But I was actually surprised how easy it was to follow. Like for such, like an ancient kind of scientific work. But any, like in the other media, Kitch, what's really influenced you?
I'll stick to the same order. I'll go to TV next. Obviously, Penn and Teller Bullshit. That was one of my favourite TV shows. I actually really want to go and see Neil deGrasse Tyson's Cosmos. Bill Nye, the science guy, and actually his other show, which was The Eyes of Nye. I actually played that, and I played the entire season in the lab once when I was working away. It's very interesting. He's an excellent science communicator, as we all know at this point.
Yeah.
He's probably one of my favourite science personalities. And I'm just trying to think what other science...
Something that neither of us have mentioned, interestingly, is Mythbusters.
Oh, yeah. Actually, it's been a while since I've seen that show.
Kind of just fell out of my mind there for a while.
Yeah. I think it's just, it was an initial hit, and it's kind of... I think it's still as popular as it was, but it's not as talked about as it used to be.
Right.
But yeah, that's definitely one like I really enjoyed. But I think it is one. You can't really keep watching that for too long because it just does get kind of a bit repetitive at times.
Yeah, it is a lot about the spectacle of blowing stuff up.
Yeah.
But in small doses, it's
I think
really
that's
good. It's an entertaining way to look at skepticism.
I think it'd be more one for kids to watch.
Yeah.
For doing it in kind of bite-sized, kind of very entertaining ways. Because even though, like, there's a book Dawkins wrote where he's against that kind of, the kind of the glamorization, sensationalist style. I just say, whatever it takes to get kids interested, it's fine by me, Well, within certain limits. I'm not saying anything goes, but, that kind of thing, that's not going to harm in any way, I think.
No, I think it's...
Because, like, say, Adam and Jamie as well, like in the interviews, they come across very, very well. Very intelligent guys, and they make their cases very well.
And YouTube, of course. I have to mention Don Exodus too. Actually, he was probably the biggest influence on the earlier YouTube videos.
I think just for your field, was CDK influence on you?
I did watch his videos
because he's in a similar field to you, isn't he?
I think so, but when I started watching his videos, I was literally maybe going into university.
Yeah.
At that stage, I had no idea what my field was about, what I wanted to do. But like his work very early on was very interesting to me, and I still actually do go back to watch the abiogenesis videos because I still find they're quite informative.
Yeah, and it's a real shame he's kind of disappeared now as well. Like he made some. I mean, do you remember him, Marty, when he was active?
Barely.
Yeah, he was.
I know who he is. I've watched his videos, but
brilliant videos, and he's just sadly disappeared now. He's doesn't seem interested in it at all. I mean, I think. For me, I can't actually name this first book. All I know it was my history book when I was about 8 years old, I think, that first got me interested in skepticism. And I can't remember the title of the history book to save myself right now. But what it was, I can remember this very specifically, because on the Sunday I was in Sunday school, and we were being taught the story of Moses, the parting of the Red Sea, and that King Ramesses was chasing him through the Red Sea, the waters parted, and Ramesses drowned. And I remember reading in this history book, they showed a picture of the mummy of Ramesses. And that just kind of got me questioning, how the heck's this possible? Yeah. There's, like, I'm being told both these things are true, so which one actually is true? And I just started to investigate things like that. And I also remember... do you have Reader's Digest in Sweden, Marty? Or have you heard of it?
I don't know.
Kitch, do you know what Reader's Digest is?
Oh, yeah, of course.
What's the best way to explain this, I think? It's like a book club. isn't it?
It's like the Reader's Digest. As far as I'm aware, it's like the National Geographic
Yes.
magazine. Would that be it?
Yeah, that's the best way. And what I remember was, I think it was my dad was subscribed to it. I can't remember. He was subscribed to it, and there used to be the Reader's Digest Big Book of Facts, and I could read them for hours and hours on end. And it was about all kinds of mysteries and phenomena in the world. And I must have read these books. I can't recall. I wore them out, and I actually did think I wore them out because I remember my dad giving me a row for it. Because I was folding the corners of the pages to remember, and every night he would catch me reading them when I was supposed to be asleep. I remember he did give me some rows at times because I was so into these books. And I said they were definitely like just as a child. And then I think one of the first books when I grew older, I think one of the first Skeptic books, I think was it was Richard Dawkins, but it was one that none of you have mentioned, is Unweaving the Rainbow. Have you heard of that one?
Heard of it, yes, haven't read it.
Yeah, it's basically, the title comes from, it was an argument that between, it was about, no problem. It was like Isaac Newton, when I think he explained, or some side, they managed to explain what the rainbow actually was, the physics behind it. And it was, Keats is an Irish poet, isn't he, Kitch?
Keats, it would be. And
Keats, he was arguing, you've taken away the beauty of the rainbow by, explaining it like this. And Dawkins was asked, he was saying, obviously, well, no, he's actually made the rainbow more beautiful when you understand what the actual physics of a rainbow is. Like how the angle of, the water and the earth and the atmosphere and everything comes together to produce this colour. It's just an incredible event. I don't know, is Marty still with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I don't know if you've heard of any of that at all, Marty.
Yeah, I missed a lot of what you just said.
Basically the thesis, so I'll just very quickly repeat it. The thesis of Dawkins' book was, it was an old, I think was it Isaac Newton who actually explained what a rainbow was?
Yeah.
And it was the Irish poet Keats said that Newton, he'd taken away the beauty of the rainbow.
Oh, okay, I see where you're going.
Yeah, by breaking it down
the exact opposite.
Was it?
Is what I would say.
Yeah, and this is what Dawkins argues, that no, what Newton has done is made the rainbow even more staggering to us now that we understand. Like we understand the very precise conditions that have to take place for this amazing thing. And like the whole book is like just, taking these things that people, people think the beauty's taken away when you understand things. But Dawkins shows, no, the beauty's actually enhanced a lot when you understand it.
Yeah.
Like we say, when you understand DNA, for example, it's an absolutely staggering thing.
Yeah.
And in terms of TV shows, I spoke to you briefly about this, and I think you know the name David Attenborough.
Yeah.
Not specifically for skepticism, but just for interest in just factual entertainment. I honestly can't think of anyone who's done that better. I mean, I'd rank him above Sagan, Tyson, Dawkins, all of them by miles. Have you seen any of his programs, Marty?
Yeah.
What do you think of them?
Yeah, I think it's good. It's just not my thing. Not my area.
Yeah. It's very strange because here in the UK, like, his programs still, like these nature documentaries, they're still some of the most watched programs in Britain, which is, that's, it's a really good thing to hear that. Well, you've obviously got them in Ireland, Kitch, don't you? David Attenborough.
Yeah, we do. We have it on, as far as I'm aware, they are shown sometimes on Network 2.
Yeah.
I remember, I think I watched one there, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, just kind of stayed in, and I was going through Netflix, and I just put on one.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be my main kind of what I definitely watch, but it's something I'd definitely have a passing eye on.
I think it is definitely, if you've grown up listening to it, it makes it, because this was another thing when I was little, because I remember it got me in trouble in school, because number one, it was broadcast on a Sunday, and this will become apparent later. And I remember I watched a very famous episode where he sat with the gorillas. And then and I remember you speaking about evolution. I asked my mum and dad, what's evolution? They were very honest. They just said, well, we don't really know. So the next day I went into school and asked my teacher, what's evolution? And my teacher was extremely religious, and she went crazy at me for two reasons. One, that I was speaking about evolution, and two, that she knew that I'd been watching TV on a Sunday. I know this stuff sounds weird to a lot of folk, but yeah, this is what I grew up with. So, but yeah, that kind of crystallized it in my mind. Like, what the hell? What is David Attenborough talking about that can make my teacher just scream in my face like this? That, you know, the work of the devil and all this kind of stuff. So, and then onto YouTube, I think, you know, we've mentioned a few names, and one that seems to be missed out is Potholer.
Yeah.
Potholer's Made Easy series, for anyone out there. That's because there's a really good one on scientific method as well. So it's like the whole history of the Earth from beginning to now. And now Kitch is getting interrupted by somebody. But yeah,
we're professionals.
Yeah, we're getting interrupted. I'm not. I've got a bearded dragon, but I don't think he's going to interrupt me at any point. But yeah, I mean, I don't think you can add much more to Potholer, can you?
No. Except that he doesn't make videos anymore.
Yeah,
it sucks.
Well, he makes them, but very rarely. But
yeah.
The other good thing with Potholer, it's the weirdest thing. He can be so insulting, but he can still come across as a gentleman when he does it. He insults people in such a polite way. I mean, it's just his sense of humour is very cutting, but he somehow manages to come across as one of the nicest guys ever.
Yeah.
And I can't think of any other YouTubers I might have missed. Andromeda's Wake, very underrated guy. Sadly not making videos anymore. And I hate to say this, I know this is going to sound like Marty's crossed my pants or so, but indeed Martimer's videos as well, I have to say. Yeah.
I'll send you the check.
Yeah, I think no more Norwegian jokes. Was that the deal, Marty? No, but honestly, I am being very sincere. Yeah, Marty's videos, even before Trolling with Logic, I was watching Marty in his early days, and I was even impressed back then. So,
Ooh,
yeah.
Thanks.
Yay, there we go. And yeah, and of course, just speaking about kind of the smaller folk, Kitch's videos, some of yours on Intelligent Design, the old ones. And I think you've gotten rid of them, though, that's the only problem. But your early Intelligent Design videos were a great help to me in grasping that subject.
Thanks. And your bottle of whiskey's on the way.
So, yeah, I don't know, is there any other things? I mean, in terms of movies, I don't think that's the one area I think skepticism isn't well represented in it, is films.
Yeah, probably.
As we've seen this year, just even with God's Not Dead, and I find movies in general, skeptics are always portrayed very negatively.
Yeah.
It's
I sense a Kickstarter.
and then there's also the issue of skeptics making movies that completely blow. What the hell is it called? The Unbelievers.
I haven't seen it, and the thing was, when I heard about it, it didn't interest me at all.
No, it was not good.
Yeah.
Sorry to say, it was a perfect example of preaching to the choir. It is not going to get anyone interested in skepticism who isn't already a skeptic, and then what's the point?
Yeah. I'm struggling to think. I mean, there's documentaries that are but actual just movies.
Yeah.
I can't think of any that really show skeptics in a good light.
No.
But and there was one other book that just came to mind, and it's one I just finished reading. Excuse me. It's by a guy called Nigel Warburton, and it's called Philosophy: The Basics. And it's a really, really good little book. It's nine chapters, all the different areas of philosophy. There's the God arguments, the ethical arguments, understanding politics, and it gives you a really good grounding in, well, just some critical thinking, and it breaks it down, and it gives you a lot.
I think I have that one somewhere.
I think I might have given you an e-copy of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I haven't read the whole thing though.
Yeah, and another book which entered my mind while I was saying that, but it's now escaped me completely. Ah, God, I can't remember. What was it? There was one more book I could think of, but... And it's just totally gone. There was one I read a few years ago, and I remember it did have an impact to it. Yeah. So there you go. I think that's our... you can go out and all build your Skeptic libraries right now with all those recommendations and some new subscriptions, I hope, for all of you. I don't know, any other additions to that at all?
No, I think we've pretty much covered it.
Yeah.
I'd like to hear from other members of the team, though.
Yeah, I think what I might do is I might revisit this and hopefully get like people like Sheila and Zilla and maybe even some of the people that we don't hear from so often. It would be nice to get them in.
Yeah,
because I think it is quite good because what started us and eventually kind of it's all led us to the path of doing this show together. So
yeah.
So I don't know. I think that's it, and we'll be back very soon. I don't know. Yeah, we've got this week, and then I think the next show we're going to do is going to... Well, this show's coming out on Christmas, so however you're celebrating these next few days, enjoy yourself and enjoy yourself responsibly. I think that comes from all the team. And we'll be back with our New Year's show where I think we're all going to have our 5 events from 2015 and our 5 events from 2014 and our 5 events from 2015. Time's relative, man. And Marty's just... the check's been cancelled already, hasn't it? When I said that.
No, time is relative.
All right. Oh, it is, yeah. But when you hear someone say time is relative, man, that's going to be...
Time is relative, man.
Yeah, so everyone just enjoy the festive period, and we'll be back soon. We'll be back in the new year. I think we shall kick the new year off with Kitch's fundraising campaign, yes?
Yep, the 5th of January.
Yep, and we're going to hopefully get a few guests along, join us live for that. We'll advertise it eventually. It's just to hopefully send Kitch some money so he can get this really cool research that we talked about last episode. So go listen to that to see if you are interested in donating to it. And I think also we'll kick the new year off in traditional style with a ponage that again we've delayed, but I think it was Thrive, The Secret, or Zeitgeist, wasn't it? So it'll be one of them. We'll kick the new year off in style.
As I recall, Zeitgeist was in the lead.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, dear.
I don't know if that's a good thing.
I haven't seen any of those movies, so...
I started watching Zeitgeist, actually.
Yeah, you should watch...
I got about 5 minutes.
You should try... I think I've sent you clips of Thrive, haven't I?
I don't know, and I don't want you to.
Anyway, that's what's coming up, and also in the new year, the interviews will come back. It was just, the stop-start nature of getting this new format off the ground. Just, this is a bad time to try and book people for interviews because we're all busy and we all need a break at this time of year for various. But yeah, we've got interviews lined up, so it's all. We hope you all look forward, and again, donate to the Patreon if you want to support us. And I don't know, do you guys have any messages for the listeners?
Not really, just merry whatever.
Kitch?
Happy Christmas, Hanukkah, Newton-ness. Damn it, why are these the only holidays I know?
Anyway, everyone, all the best to you, and we'll be speaking to you again, and we shall see you next week. And also, if you don't listen to us then, we'll see you all in the new year. Bye.
Bye.
Bye all.